Gold Ring Astrological Newsletter for July till September 2012. What we are experiencing now in these hours is a retrospective of what is going on with Mercury as it is in retrograde. There is a teaching that is guiding us through this episode, and we are adjusting through factual examination of experiences. These experiences have been many-fold with Jupiter and Gemini squaring with Neptune and Chiron and Pisces. The type of experience relate to belief systems and logical mental approaches. There is a confusion in this field at this point because of the expansion and the hopes and the aberrant hopes and wishes that are not justified by current situation. The acknowledgement at this point is that the Jupiterian energies are expanding to the ultimate extremes, and the levels of society relating to nationalism, religion, all point to a crisis of consciousness. It is preceded by this confusion and pain through the global immune system being weakened, through which corruption and decay are the result. In this perspective, the Jupiter expansion principle is also one of inflammation and extravagance of violence and waste. The microcosm and macrocosm are related and mirror each other. This is a point to consider when attempting to define society, either consciously or subconsciously, insane, dangerous, corrupt, or any other negative appraisal of something much larger. With Jupiter moving and going retrograde this fall, it will succumb to examination and limitation of its overreaching ambition to achieve its desires. In Gemini, Jupiter is in detriment. The lower or active mind is operated through Mercury, and the amount of data, frequencies, thoughts, beliefs, which represent Jupiter, will release a sense of misunderstanding in that it will attempt to present a political doctrine, a dogma, an agenda that is coming through on a level where it cannot achieve its ends. The overreaching sides of Jupiter, the risk-taking and the expectations, are going to be severely limited by Saturn in Libra. The large inflow of energies may cause a huge static of billions of nonsensical messages which are being reproduced at extremely high levels. This corresponds to finance, media, politics, and large-scale interrelated divisions of society. This is also indicative of the solar flares and other expressive amounts of high-energy frequencies that are changing the world. At this point, we are aware that the economies of the world are in a state of being manipulated and held hostage through high-frequency trading and quantitative easing and other such immaterial deceptions to real value. The same is true in the plethora of extravagant violence and degenerating morality through media. The extension of this is expressed in the media violence. The media itself is a violent, sick medium. The mind of humanity, the entire population, is being impressed with a very dark agenda. In some ways, the cyber war, nanobot wars, GMO wars, pandemic, immune loss, mysterious challenges, the apocalypse, the return of Jesus, and accelerated psychic evolutions are part of this action, of this configuration between Jupiter and Neptune over the last year, and will continue to release the pain of the corruptions. The real pain is just beginning to be felt with Chiron. The recognition is unmistakable and causes action of the most definite variety to be imposed on the personality to cleanse and purify. Otherwise, the surgical demands of Pluto and Uranus will come to bear upon society and individuals in a harsh but reconstructive, impersonal fashion. Of this process, it will be ongoing through April 2013. Upon the release of the forces of Uranus and Pluto, which will continue its purging of corporate power with more intensity, this level of action with these two planetary energies are ones that bring about complete restructuring of society. The nature of societal beliefs is being examined carefully and kindly, and will benefit from a good judge and that which is acceptable by the exaltation of Saturn in Libra. The power of Saturn comes into new importance as it falls into the sun and predicts a very harsh judgment on the wicked being those who have given up their own sense of personal responsibility and value and have chosen a path of compromise and survival. Saturn does not turn a blind eye to evil, but stands in the face of it without hesitation. There is no stronger power in the world than the consciousness that Saturn brings, as it holds the rings of power. The rings of Saturn are visible and a potent symbol of clarity and definition of reality. Of these rings thou shalt not pass through. This is a message to the initiate and to society that the rules of morality, character, and virtue are the domain of Saturn, and the opposites are despised and ruined by the greater power it represents. In Libra, Saturn works through the kidneys to bring balance and harmony. When balance and harmony are achieved, then Qi is able to move through the process of its yin-yang polarity. It begins the cold seasons when the service and obligations to others are ceremonially aligned. In the previous months with Jupiter, there is the liver which it rules, and it rules the assimilations of food, the creation of blood. When it is bringing the sugars to reality, we see that we are incapable of now dealing with the amount of toxins from our food systems, from our society, from our media, and Jupiter is being overrun with sense of toxicity and poisons that will ultimately lead to jaundice and demise of its activity. People have felt the expansion of dreams without substance or clarification. The result is chaos of mind and body. The accelerations within the general consensus are represented in a state of beleaguered intensity where the truth is misunderstood for a time while the pain is resolved. The liver rules the eyes. In the eyes we see. The liver works through anger and resentment and the challenges, and it assimilates and creates the bile to digest the thoughts and the deeper understandings that we have. Without a clear mind, the willpower of the first-rate energies are subverted towards personality. In the case of the crisis of social consciousness being felt, it is reaction to powerlessness. The object of power is to control the mindset of the personality. The attitude of power is creation. The truth being foretold is about clear thinking in these periods of time to express the workings of changes set upon larger society as a metaphor for your own microcosm. In how this is being brought into consciousness is in the witnessing of the compassion and the healing of the Neptune-Chiron conjunction for the lost and weary. Mercury is retrograde in early Leo. We have understanding there are some strong consequences in and through the decisions being made at this time in government. Much of the current active leadership within the world is being challenged to awaken to their higher purpose within their field. Saturn is conservative. Saturn is wise. Saturn is grandfather energy. Saturn is rulership. The rulership of Saturn is based upon honored principles between people. Saturn has been considered to be a planet of hardship for the reasons that it rules against the energies of radicalization and stupidity. Saturn is wise, sagacious. The wisdom that Saturn brings will bring a timing in October where there will be major stock market shifts and significant changes within the resident program in this progression.